Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Hey folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today. Episode Whitetail Rendezvous. We're heading to central western. We're heading to Illinois. And we're going to meet up with the R2K boys. Now, Kyle Peterson, Randy Brewer, and Kyle Lenhart are the guys that make up R2K. Now, if you've been on social media, you've seen them, and they're all, they've got channels all over the place. And guys, it's exciting to have you on the show. And this is a special Sunday edition of Whitetail Rendezvous. And so with thinking of that, let's start off with, why you guys are existing. What's so special about having another group of guys saying, hey, here we are, and this is what we're doing, and check us out. So let's talk to the viewers, of which there are hundreds of thousands of them. Why don't you tell them, what's so special or why you created R2K?
We wanted to be able to show the people our passion for hunting, and just show everybody that you don't have to be a professional hunter or have tons of sponsors to be able to do something like this, to be able to get a name out there for yourself and let people see what your adventures are, how your hunts go, good or bad, the good side and the bad side of hunting. There are a lot of people that don't get to experience stuff like we get to, where we can take the time off work, go out, be in the woods. We just want to, show people that it's a lot of fun, no matter if it's good or bad.
So reality TV comes to R2K.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys are fun, and Cal Peterson, what's your thoughts?
My idea of it is we enjoy hanging out with each other, having fun, sharing the family values that were taught to us when we were younger. And even though some kids, their parents may not hunt, and so the kids, they may not even know anything about hunting, but they might love it if they tried it. And for us, if we can show them how much fun we have and how much we love the outdoors, it might get some more kids involved and be a good thing for everybody. I mean, it's always, for us, it's about friendship, family, being outdoors, enjoying the time out there in nature. I mean, we're not dealing with all the crimes in the cities, and we're enjoying it.
Kyle Lionheart?
I think they touched about all the points. I mean, it's just the passion, just bringing all the content, getting it out there so everybody can see it.
He's not a big talker, if you haven't noticed yet, Bruce.
Now, Kyle, are you behind the camera all the time then, or are you a shooter?
No, I try to do shooting. I need any good cameramen, because I got some that forget to hit the record button a lot.
I've noticed that.
This guy sitting next to me, he missed the turkey hunt on film this year.
I had a guy once. We had a nice double set up, and I would rattle him like a banshee, and we had not big buck. The big buck stood out about 80 yards. We never could really get him on film, but the little ones were just all over. It was just great. And I said, after the session was over, man, this is going to be great.
Oops.
I didn't buy the beer that night. That's for damn sure.
Hey, in my defense, though, I did get the sound of the shot, and the flop on the ground. I didn't get the actual shot on film.
You know, you
hit
get.
that little button. You gotta hit that little button that says open lens cap.
You know, and you joke at that because, you know, everybody from, I don't know, pick somebody that's known in the business, you know, and have done thousands of filming, you know, and, you know, Pursuit Channel, Sportsman Channel, all that. Every single one of them's had, you know, goof ups. I mean, and that's just inherent because you get excited because, you know, in comes a turkey, in comes a doe, in comes anything. I mean, when they're coming in and they're proximity to your stand, I mean, it's exciting. I don't, you know, I don't care what it is. When I get deer that close and they're completely clueless that I'm hanging around and in a split second, you know, they could be deer sausage. You know, that excites me, but it also excites other people because they go, oh, there he is, and they tense up and they get buck fever just like everybody else, and they don't do their job, and that's why it's hard. That's why filming is hard. And, you know, all the people I've had on the show talking about filming, it's very, very difficult. And it takes teamwork, and it takes a lot of repetition and hundreds of hours to get it finally down to where it's really clicking because everybody knows. And I don't know how you guys set up in the morning when it's dark out anyway. I mean, you got 2 sets up. If you're using climbers, you got to do that. If you got hang-ons that are hopefully already up, and then you got to get up there and get all set up, and then you know, wait for the action. And sometimes I've had all day sits and me and the squirrels, and that's about it. Well, no, but you know,
we do a lot of self filming too. It makes it even
harder.
Yeah.
Now, do you have an arm then that you just click on? You have it in one place, and then you have an arm, and you click on it. You know,
Yes.
the thing about that, what if that deer doesn't come in that way? You're screwed, right?
Right.
Well, we have a couple of, I think each and every one of us either has a Tacticam or an Ultra Pro or GoPro or something like that we can mount up in the tree too. And I learned last year that because I messed up on a deer, I had the Ultra Pro up above me and the wider shot of it. I could have shot, but I was thinking more about the big camera because it wasn't on the deer. So I let the deer walk.
There you go. I mean, you know, and that's what it is. It's just all of a sudden, you know, you're thinking more about the film and getting a shot on the film than harvesting the deer. And, you know, a lot of guys told me, you know, their main objective is to get the game on the ground, you know,
Right.
And they can do all the other stuff after that. But the biggest part of any show, right, wrong, or indifferent, is, you know, is getting the harvest shot, getting the kill shot down, so people go, oh, okay, they got her done. Because, you know, it's for all the shows and TV. I mean, the thousands of deer that are shot on film. You know, I don't know if we went over 1 million deer last year nationwide. I know in Wisconsin it's 100. I don't know how many in PA. I don't know how many deer, but, you know, let's say 500,000 or more deer were taken last year, bucks or does.
Mm-hmm.
And you just think about that. You know, that's a lot of content. And more guys and gals are going to self-filming because, you know, there's a big need for it, and the platforms allow it. Jensen TV, Carbon TV. You know, you don't need Pursuit or Sportsman Channel. Sorry, guys, but they don't need you. You know, because people are figuring it out, and you put out good quality. Those 2 channels put out great quality. There's no question about it, and they have great guests. But some people can't afford that. They can't flat, and so they're in are guys like R2K that are out there sharing it. And this is reality, and this is the oops and the ops, and this is, you know, this is the story that we're going to put together. So, talking about stories, how do you build a story for your hunts? What do you try to do?
I think we just go off like the history that we've had with some deer. I mean, I know I've got history with a couple of deer that have eluded me, and I think about everybody here just kind of builds their season off their history and what we're getting on trail cameras. And so for us, like the deer I'm after is really old. and he went from close to a 200-inch deer down to he might hit 130 this year, and he's just old. But to me, he's still the biggest trophy out in that timber. He's mature, he's smart, and I've been after him for 3 years, and he's a genius, I think.
Okay, let's stop there. Okay, he's in your timber on private land, right? He's on private land. How many acres?
Where the farm that I originally started on in that area was only like 8 acres. And it's because my sister happened to see him in her timber, so that's where I went. And then I got permission to hunt the property south of there, which is about 200 acres, but there's still only about another additional 20 acres worth of timber. But he's using the CRP field to the north and the cornfield to the south to get back and forth, and then I got a creek on the east side.
So, do you have a funnel or a pinch point? You can head them off?
Not really. There's just too many ways around. I mean, he can go any which way, and I can't really.
Open ground.
Yeah, too much open land for me to pinch him down.
Okay, so you get CRP, which is open. Then you get standing corn, which is a great place for deer to live. I mean, just flat out live. Then you get a little creek bottom. So, what does he do during the rut, or does he not play so much in the rut no more?
He mostly goes nocturnal during the rut. Like I've had 2-3 pictures maybe last year during the rut of him in daylight, and it was on days I was at work. So I changed where I was parking my truck, how I was entering any stands, and I finally one night got him directly underneath me, but it was so dark I couldn't see my pins, and it was after hours, so he got a free pass. But that's the closest I've ever had him on hoof to me. And
was he on the field edge that night? Did he come down the field edge?
He actually come across my sister's lane going to her house and came into the timber a different way than what I expected him to, and walked directly underneath me.
So you had a hang on sitting.
Yep.
And he came from the neighbors, or did he come out of the cornfield?
He came out of the CRP, across one property and into the other property.
And then you're sitting in a little patch of 8 acres of woods.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think he went the way he did?
I'm not sure.
He's a genius.
It's like if I'm not there, last year on October 6th, he was in that timber for over 4 hours in daylight, and I wasn't there. I was at work. And then the next day, he was there for a couple hours, bedded down 10 yards from my deer stand, and then goes back into the CRP. And then it was, what was it? I think it was the end of October. I went in to hunt, and he come walking in the CRP. I was downwind from him. I mean, I had no idea. He got about 150 yards away and just stopped, turned around, and walked back the other way. The wind was blowing away from him. I have no idea. It's like he knows I'm there.
Did you walk the trail? Was that your entrance trail?
No, I come in on a complete different side, the opposite direction what he came from, and he still wouldn't come in.
How about
like he knows the sound of my vehicle.
Well, he might, but what about the sun? Was the sun hitting you and casting a shadow?
No, and the stand I was in that night is on the downhill side, and the sun was already down past it. So I have no explanation.
And you did one clue, and I'm really happy you said it. You came in, you walked way out of your way to get to your stand. Now, some guys, they'll walk the shortest way to get to their stand and think nothing about it. Jamie Berlin shot a 180 after 3 nights on him, but he walked over a mile out of his way, and it was a quarter mile from where his truck was, but he walked a mile out of his way, got on his tree stand, the deer walked underneath him, and that's the rest is history. That's the only reason he got him, because he found a creek bottom, he found an access, downwind, everything, so that deer had no clue, because the truck was in the barnyard, just another truck in the barnyard, right? Doesn't say, Jeremy's truck, I'm out here to kill you on the bunker. It doesn't say that. I mean, come on. But he went all that way around, got in the tree stand, sat there. Within an hour, the deer was dead.
I've heard guys taking boats I've heard of guys like if they hunt near a river or something, taking boats in to get to
Yep.
their stands.
Boats and
So they're gonna walk
canoes,
it. Yep.
you know, or walking creek bottoms, you know, in your muck boots, your lacrosse boots, whatever. But so many people, and I'm guilty of it too. I've got one stand, you know, it's 20 yards off the farm road, you know, and I park and I walk a quarter mile to that, walk up, and they know I'm there. As soon as I get off that farm road, they know I'm there and they won't come by. You have the trail camera say, if I left the stand at 10:15, at 10:25, there he is.
Yeah.
They're that smart. And folks,
Yeah.
if you don't believe that, just hunt for a while. And I'm not trying to be a smart ass here, but I mean, those deer know. I mean, they truly know, and they sense you. They don't scent you, they sense you. They sense something isn't right. And, you know, I can't wait, Cal Pearson, to see a picture of you hammering that guy, but you gotta change it up. And as I had one guy said, he only hunts 3 days. He'll hunt one deer 3 days. If he doesn't get him, then he'll go someplace else and figure it out. You know, because it just, you know, if he's liking that woodlot, you know, how about staying out in the tree stand overnight, making sure he's not there.
It's crossed my mind, but mosquitoes are terrible down there.
Well, no, but I'm serious. And just bring one of those heater body things. What are they called? Body heaters.
Heater bodysuit.
Yeah, heater body suits. Yeah, get in that and just strap yourself in. I wouldn't trust I'd actually buckle myself into the tree. Forget the safety harness and all that. I'd buckle myself to the tree and just go to sleep and, you know, and see what happens.
Towards the end of last year, during rut, he was bedding. I had to get the stand out of there. I did it in January. I took the stand out of there, but I couldn't hunt the stand that was in there because every night he was coming in and he bed from 2 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the morning. And I knew that if he was going to keep doing that every night, there's no chance of me hunting that because he was never coming in the afternoon and he was bedding there in daylight and he'd just go right onto the neighbor's property that I don't have permission on. And that was just the luck of the draw.
So
He never showed his
12.
face.
Go
Yeah.
up to 12, get in your bodysuit, just you know, spray down with all the great scent stuff, you know, ozonic, scent crusher. I don't know what you have to do, but watch him come in bed, and just, you know, just let him go to sleep, and then when the sun comes up, and then he'll stand up, and you shoot him.
I might try that this year. I'll let you know how it works.
Let me know how it worked. Yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, you can't knock an arrow. You're not hunting. You're sleeping in a tree. I don't think that's against the law.
I don't think there's a law against that.
No, I wouldn't knock an arrow. I wouldn't do anything. I'd just be sleeping in my tree because I've got some, I don't know. I try something crazy because, you know, he likes that place and you're so close to getting him. I mean, you really are. There's this one little piece that you haven't figured out. Either that or you commit suicide. He just goes, okay, fine. He walks down the lane. He goes, okay, fine. Man,
I'm done.
don't miss. Don't miss. Yeah.
You win.
You know, folks, you laugh. You know, we're having good giggles and laugh, but, you know, that's how much you get involved with some of these bucks, especially on private land, because you get to know them, they get to know you, and that's part of hunting, you know, and that's a good thing about why we hunt. Randy, you got any stories like that, or tell me your story?
Yeah, I do actually. One of my bigger bucks. Actually, it was the first big buck that I took with a bow. I hunted him for 3 years. I could get him within 30 yards, and I was sitting in the corner of a fence row because you know how them bucks love to run fence rows. And he would hold up in his thicket, a bunch of saplings. I could never get him in. So the last year I hunted him, I made it a point to stay out of that stand until the first week of November. And I took my daughter to a dentist appointment in Peoria. Got back in town at noon. Like 12:15, I was in the stand. At 3:15, I had the deer on the ground. He come in chasing the doe. Come in about 4 yards underneath me, stopped, looked at the doe, looked up at me, and was like, "Oh crap!" I was already full draw then. It was too late for him. But I got him on the wall.
So he knew you were there.
Yeah. Yep.
He knew your stand was there.
Yep. That's why I was, because where the stand is, I mean, it's all open field. There's nowhere else there to put a stand in. There's a timber down the bottom, and it goes back up to the top. There's a cornfield up there, and then there's a bigger timber next to me. So I sat right in the corner of 3 fences coming together, and there was no other tree to really get into the timber. I actually put another stand further over into the bigger timber, hoping I could catch him coming through there, but he never did. So I knew it was going to pay off for me if I was just patient, waited for him, and got in there at the right time of day.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draws are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. All in all, if you're hunting out west in 2018, GoHunt.com Insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com.
And it worked for me.
Now, how'd you slip in there? How'd you do
I
that?
came in through there's a pasture that was directly behind me, and I could walk the timber along that pasture. Then it's just a straight shot to the stand. You're only out in the open for about 60 yards, and then you're back into the cover again. So he was bedding down in this bottom. It goes down in a ravine. It's like it's a big cow lot is what it is. Farmer puts cattle in there, certain times of the year. It's got a few little fingers in it. Well, that's where he was bedding up at. He was bedding down in the bottoms in them fingers. So the wind was perfect that day. The wind was blowing at my face. It was blowing away from where he was bedded. And actually, before he came in, a 150-inch 10-pointer came in chasing the doe, and I thought it was Chiquita. Then I seen him chase that doe off. Then I heard that deep bellow grunt, and I knew it was him. Doe come out. She stood right underneath me, and here he come, right up through that little thicket of saplings that he would always hold up in.
Well, how about you, Kyle? You're the last man standing.
Yeah, my ground's a lot of CRP. It's mostly a pass-through area. I don't really have a lot of history with too many bucks right now. I got a couple on velvet. 2 of the bucks that I had on camera last year, the neighbors ended up getting them. That's the story of my season last year.
So what can you do with your neighbors? Anything?
Hope they don't go over there.
Because they're staying on their land, you're staying on your land, right?
Yeah. No, I have a lot of deer that come through there during the rut. It's just being there at the right time, not like any other one.
Yeah. No, with your neighbors, do they practice QDMA or they, ground it down?
They're all mature deer. They do a pretty good job. I have a couple of neighbors. They'll shoot about anything. Most of the neighbors on each side. There's 4 neighbors, and they usually are pretty good about not shooting small deer until gun season. Then it's
open season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hunting. And I mean, you just, and I can't say, when I started off hunting, I mean, if it was brown and legal, it was down, boom. It wasn't any question because we had 20, 30 people in all the families that were feeding, these small Wisconsin towns that I was hunting with the family. I mean, you have 5 kids and they all have families, and all of a sudden, you get 20 people. I mean, literally, we'd shoot in the morning, hang them, and then that night, I mean, they'd all be coming apart. The next, by midnight, they're in the reefers, they're in the freezers, or they're hanging in the meat locker, and because they want to age them. But so I grew up in that tradition. Everything that you see here is going to get eaten, and there's a lot of people in this country that still do that. If they don't fill up their freezer with meat, then that's not such a good thing. Plus, now we have the organic thing, venison, the original organic, meat, and people going, hunting, organic. Yeah, you want to eat organic? I can help you get the best organic in the world, and you won't pay, $20 a pound or whatever,
Right.
for it. Because we live in a different time. It's really crazy. You listen to your stories, and it's just, we live in a different time. Let's talk about the upcoming season. Kyle Peterson, we'll start off with you. What's on your hit list, and how we know you got the big guy? Anybody else, or are you solely after the big guy?
I got a pretty decent 10-point and probably 130, 140 inch 8-point I'm after. They're all older deer. It's 5.5, 6, somewhere around there. But last year I had a strange buck, never had a trail cam picture of him, the biggest mainframe 8-point I've ever seen in my life. And I caught a limb when I shot and exploded my arrow, and I never saw him after that either. So I'm hoping maybe I'll get redemption on him this year if he comes passing back through. But other than that, there's 10-point and big guy, and just waiting to see which one's going to make themselves more vulnerable early in the season. Outside of that, I'm going to pick off a couple of does, put some meat in the freezer, and enjoy it.
Now, when you hunt, there's different seasons within our hunting season. So early season, they're coming off summer pasture or summer groceries, and then they're starting to change over to, what they're going to be eating during the fall. And the patterning later in September changes. So how soon can you get after the deer in Illinois?
October 1st when season opens, and I actually have an alfalfa field, a bean field, a corn field, and a clover plot, all within 150 yards of my stand.
Gee,
so,
they got everything they need.
Yeah, and a creek's only about 250 yards. So
where's the brassicas? Do you have any brassicas?
No, I do not.
So you don't feed them during the winter? What do you leave them up for the winter?
Well, we can't actually feed in Illinois, so basically I just pray the farmers' combines aren't quite as efficient.
No, can you put a brassica field in and just not hunt it, or how does that work?
We can hunt food plots. The only problem is that the small amount of acreage that I'm on, everything else is tillable. So the farmers already got their all their crops in, and they do winter wheat and stuff like that later on. But I can't really. I only got a small area I can plant, and I usually I'm trying to keep the deer healthier through the summer months, because it seems to be when we've had the most issues as far as deer getting sick or anything like that. So
you got food, water, cover, and then the only thing you don't have, but you do have, because it's ag land, you got stuff for them to eat during the wintertime.
Right.
Because your winters aren't brutal there, are they, like they are in the upper Midwest?
They can be. We had one day last year that was about 35 below, but
no, it's just one day.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's
that wasn't
not
a month.
for months at a time.
Right. Because anybody can survive 35 degrees below zero for a few days, but if it goes along for a month, below zero, it gets hard.
Right.
It really gets hard in the deer and stresses the hell out of them. And then when the time to have the fawns, they're not in good shape.
Right.
That's for sure. So, Randy, what's your game plan for the fall?
I got a couple big 8-pointers I'm after this year. I've got one that I've been chasing for the last 3 years. Now, he came in close last year, but he was it was early October, and they were still in a bachelor group, which was kind of strange because they were bumping these 2 yearling does around. I couldn't understand that. It was just odd. It just seemed like the rut that last year here in Illinois was a lot sooner than it normally is. It hit about mid-October, and then it just went away. It was gone. And then later in November, they started chasing does again. But last year was kind of a funny year for the rut around here. But I got one of the 8-pointers. I named him Bob because I've got him on my taxi cam a few times. He's walking underneath my stand, and everybody goes, "Well, why do you call him Bob?" I said, "Because he's like a neighbor. He's always around." Well, he was only a 2.5-year-old and 3.5-year-old. So this year, he's going to be a 4.5-year-old deer. So, and he's looking pretty good. He's 140, 150 inch deer.
Now, how many acres do you hunt?
I got 40 acres right here that I hunt. Then there's another 30 acres over by Oak Run that I can hunt also that we lease. So
you got 70 acres. That isn't a whole heck of a lot to some people.
it's not.
To some people.
But you know what? To me, I would rather hunt the smaller plots than hunt the big timbers. Because where I hunt, there's probably 300 acres across the railroad tracks from where I hunt. It's called the Brickyards, where they used to make the Burlington pavers, and they get a lot of pressure in there. Well, they push their deer over to us, and it's just me and one other guy hunting that, and that's it. And he's got other property he hunts, so most of the time it's only me in there, which makes it nice.
So how do you decide where to put your stands?
I look for, to me, it's been a long time theory of mine is find where the trails cross. X marks the spot. Anywhere you see trails coming through that are heavily used, not something just that's been dried up and not used, but are heavily used, and they cross, I always try to put a stand in that location because you're going to catch them coming either to food or back from food to bed. And, you know, I never get in close to a bedding area. I stay as far away from a bedding area as I can, but yet I'll still hunt it, but not right on top of it. So, and then I like putting my stands on field edges. I'll hunt like gateways, you know, where there's a corner of a field. I like hunting them corners of the fields because you catch them coming across the field or, you know, going back out of it into the timber. So
have you ever noticed that some trails, and you notice this in the wintertime when there's snow on the ground, but some of them are 45 degrees to the heavy trail. So they kind of, it's like an arc. So if you have, let's see, you got the straight line, and then you got the hypotenuse type thing, right angle triangle. That's what I'm trying to say. So you got this part, that part. Then you got a trail that connects the two in an arcs. Have you ever hunted those arcs?
No, I haven't.
But basically, from what I've learned and what I've studied, you have to do this in wintertime to see it. But the bucks will intersect those arcs, not at the X, but some number of degrees away from the X. I can't tell you, is it 20 yards, 10 yards, 15? You have, because terrain knows everything. But there's an arc that'll connect the two main trails, and they'll be able to scent check. The reason they do it, because they'll hit that arc, it'll get in the middle, and then they'll scent check based on the wind, and they can cover both those trails standing from one point, and they don't have to come to the center. And it's interesting how bucks will loop trails, main trails, because you know in the staging area, transition area, the buck will stand up, he'll wait, he'll get the wind right, and he'll just check the field. You'll never see him because he just scent check it. Same on a ridge. He'll use the flow of wind, and he'll just scent check. You'll never see him. And land sakes, it could have been a mature buck, when 100 yards behind you, just scent check him, and you'll never see him. That's how smart they are.
Yeah.
But next winter, check those connecting arcs, because what you'll find is that they'll actually figure it out that if they make loops on where those two trails intersect, they can scent check them, and they can even eye check them, for does. Just FYI, check it out.
Yeah.
See if it works. Let me know if it works out. Yeah, let me know if it works out.
Definitely.
So Kyle, what's your deal? How many acres you hunting?
I got 60 acres that I hunt. That's my mom's husband's, and then the neighbor, he was 4 or 5 years ahead of me in school. His dad has like 110 acres that butts up next to the 60 that I hunt. He allowed me last year to start hunting that.
So you got plenty of land. Actually, eight acres is plenty of land. If you know how to hunt the buck. It's just hard to hunt a buck on 8 acres because he knows you're there. Really knows you're there. And the odds of, let's figure the odds on 8 acres to have some buck coming from 5 miles away cruising through there are slimmer than 120 acres or 100 acres. I mean, they just are. The more land you have, the more opportunity for bucks to move, because during the rut, Halloween on, wherever, the peak rut is, I mean, those suckers are moving. They are. We've got enough collar studies to show that, home ranges don't mean jack. I mean, they're gone. Look, there's one thing in our mind, and they're going to go find it. Well, that's pretty much it. Um, so we got private land, and so you're not hunting public land at all. Let's talk about. I think it was you, Kyle Lionheart, talked about a 365 hunter. Talk to me more about that.
Well, it starts, like I said, all year. I mean, from the time the antlers drop and then doing a little timber work for TSI. I'm going to do that this off season. Try to get the woods are pretty open, not real thick. So I thought about doing a little bit of timber work this year to create some bedding areas. Try to keep them, like I said, that it's more of a pass-through area where I hunt. I started doing food plots a couple years ago, so that takes up most of the spring and summer, mowing and spraying. Then this year I got brassicas and got some beans this year as well. I got about an acre of standing beans for this late season. So it's something I enjoy doing. Started a little apple orchard on the ground too.
Wow, that's good. Apples work. They just take a long time to mature.
Yeah, will be the third year they're there, so they're not really producing much yet.
How about hinge cutting? Have you done any hinge cutting?
That's what I want to do this winter.
Okay.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, but it works. Just don't get carried away.
Less is more.
Yeah, I mean, and you can read that all over the web, and lots smarter people, Adam Keith and Matt Dye from Land and Legacy. I've talked to them quite a bit, and most guys go, "Oh yeah, I'll create this," and not so much unless you timber it. Unless you're going in there and taking out the prime one logs and timbering it, then you got a whole different story. But if you're just in hinge cutting, there's right ways to do it. There's right locales to do it. You want to do it where deer naturally would bed if they had the cover. There's keys to that. So before you jump into that wholeheartedly, do some work and ask a lot of questions, because done right, it's great. Done wrong, it makes a mess, and you don't accomplish what you think you're accomplishing. That's for sure. So we're getting to the point of the show. We can talk about the one big thing, and I'd like to ask each one of you. It's 2018, so 5 years ago, 2013. What do you wish you knew then that you know now?
That his buck is going to be as smart as he is. A few years ago, I had a pretty good chunk of ground leased, and I struggled with getting to any stand because the property is so long and narrow. I only had so many access ways to get into a stand, and I learned by hunting this smaller property that had I maybe brought my stands out to different spots where I don't normally go. Yeah, I mean, I always used to have to take the long, hard walk up and down the ravines on the old tractor roads to get back to the back pasture. And every time I'd go back there, I was spooking a deer too. And so I learned the last year I had that property and the last couple of years hunting a smaller property that if I would have just brought my stands to the front of the property and played my cards a little better, I probably would have had a few more big bucks down. But instead I was trying to get back in where they were traveling more. But I learned the last year I hunted the property, which was 2 years ago, that I literally stuck a stand. There's one draw out in the very front cornfield. I stuck a stand right in the middle of it. And about 15 minutes before dark every night, they just start flooding out there. Why they came to that field, I have no idea. But my cameras never really showed it earlier in the year. And then all of a sudden they were there. So I've kind of learned now to be more patient and hunt the fringes more than getting in where I think I got to be. So.
Yeah, because they're going to bed in the woods unless it's really good. There's a mass crop. Okay, you got acorns. That's a whole different topic. You have to hunt them differently. You're really running and gunning then. And I know some guys, they don't even put up stands. They're hunting them right off the ground. Randy, what's your thoughts on what you wish you knew 5 years ago?
I'm like Kyle, patience. I wish back then I had the patience that I have now. It's been proven I've got 3 big bucks on the wall from being patient, not trying to overhunt an area, not being too aggressive with calling, scents, anything like that that's going to alert the deer that you're there. So, and I found a lot of times it's just being in the right place at the right time and just being patient, and it comes through for you.
Less is more.
Less is more.
That's what I'm going to name your. That's what I'm naming your show.
Less is more.
That's the name of your show, by the way.
Less is more.
Less is more.
How
how about you, Kyle? What do you wish you knew, 5 years ago?
I wish I knew that there was going to be EHD. That really, 2012 and 13 was real hard here in the Midwest for that. But it's just the population's just getting back up, I feel like.
Right.
But it's been some tough years in the last. Last year was pretty good. I've seen a lot of mature bucks last year, and patience. I didn't have near the patience back then.
But you can't do anything about disease.
No.
You just can't. And the patient part, I became a better elk hunter when I didn't walk 5 to 10 miles a day, thinking I had to find the elk.
Right.
A guy told me, Bruce, here's how we hunt out. We get as high as we can. We get looking over this basin, that basin, that basin. We find the elk first, then we go hunt them.
Yep.
And elk aren't that hard to hunt once you find them. The hard part about elk hunting is finding the sucker. Because once you find them, unless you bust them, they ain't going nowhere. Because they know where they are and they live in hellacious places. So once you find them, but a lot of people, it's just hard to say, okay, get high and glass and spend the whole day, be there before dawn and stay there till after dark and see if you can find, a herd in a basin. And then if they're not there, you go to a different basin. And, it works. It works on public land and works on private land. That's the thing I learned is that, even with whitetail, I do a lot of long distance scouting now. And, I'll sit up and I'll get my long glass and, I'll glass a quarter mile away. Now the farm, probably the longest, it's half a mile across one field to the next field. So I can check that. Other fields, it isn't so far, but you're still in your truck. You don't get out of your truck and, you just roll down the window, put your glasses up, put your spotting scopes up and hunt them that way, and don't put any pressure on them at all until you can pattern them, and then hunt them. Unless, as I said, they're on the oak trees, and if they're on them, then you really just gotta, you gotta spot and stalk them and hope for the best because you know where they're gonna be, and you just gotta find them, coming through and working it. But that's old style on the ground, sitting there being patient, being invisible. I call it being invisible. You just have to become invisible and then see what happens. And, that's exciting because you hear them coming, you see them coming, you see the horns coming up above the brow of the hill and you go, oh my goodness. And, that's kind of it. So any last words, guys? We're going to wrap the show.
We're not professional hunters, but we look forward to sharing our stories with everybody. We do pro staff for a few companies like Raised Broadheads and Nocturnal and Block Targets, Happy Herd, Carbon Express Arrows, just a few of them companies. They help us out to get through, help us do this easier, I guess. Like I said, we all got full-time jobs, and we're just sharing our story and hope that we can share with a lot more people in the future.
Randy, how do people get a hold of you? One more time.
So they can go on our Facebook page, R2K Outdoors, or they can contact us on Twitter at R2KOutdoors.com, or on our YouTube page, which is R2K Outdoors at Gmail, right?
Yeah.
At gmail.com.
All right, less is more. What do you got to say for yourself?
I think that's it.
Less is more.
I can't wait to meet up with you guys and laugh because you guys are fun. So with that, on behalf of hundreds of
You get
thousands
to-
of
you get
listeners
to-
across. What'd you
You can
say?
be Illinois sometime. You have to get a hold of us. We'll all meet up somewhere. Take you
Oh yeah, no, I want to come hunt. I just, it's a
Yeah.
matter of getting Whitetail Rendezvous to where, I can hit the road and and do it. But this has been a blast. We've had a lot of laughs. We've shared some information, a lot of information, and I love the thought of small plots. You don't need large plots. I know one guy, he's got a 40. Every year, his daughters and he take off 140 plus bucks off the same ground, and is surrounded by private land, but it's almost suburbia, not quite suburbia, but everybody knows the bucks are there, but they get them every single year, and they hunt 3 days a year. That's it.
Oh wow.
Boom. Done. 3 days a year they hunt. And so they've got it down to a science. Hopefully I'll meet him this fall and be able to do some work with him. So guys, thank you, R2K, for being guest on Whitetail Rendezvous.
Thank you, Bruce, for having us.
Hey folks, we're heading back to Wisconsin, Dodgeville, Wisconsin, and Art Helen Outdoors and Own the Season TV on MOTV. And Art and I have been friends for a number of years, and he's one heck of a hunter. So we're going to talk about his upcoming season. He's got a bear hunt. He's got a tag down in. He and Michelle's got tags down in Kansas, and then they get tags out in Dakotas, and of course they get tags on their farms in Wisconsin. But more than that, Art's going to speak to specifically. We're all hunters. Let's get along, and let's uplift everybody and use common sense when we're talking about hunting to non-hunters, because 80% of the people out there are non-hunters. They're not anti-hunters. They're not hunters. They're just non-hunters. So it's up to us. And Art speaks quite eloquently about how we need to reach those people. And all in all, it's a great time to be with Art. And
hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today.
he tells some great stories, so I'm happy to have Art on the show.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.